All right, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us at our lecture tonight, Successful Path to U.S. Universities. My name is Nellie. I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the Education USA Advising Center here in Kyiv. Все тут написано українською мовою, я буду говорити, більш-менш англійською, але, будь ласка, говоріть, як вам зручно, бо мені, в принципі, байдуже. Okay? So, let's get started. Welcome. And if you're joining us online, thank you for joining us. So, at any time during the presentation, if you have questions or anything, please just raise your hand and we'll address them. Okay? All right. So, let me first ask who is in the room and what you're interested in. Okay? So, who is interested in... Добрий вечір, приходьте, будь ласка. Who is interested in bachelor's programs in the U.S.? Кому цікаво бакалаврській програмі в США? Окей. Магістерській програмі? Докторській програмі? Короткостроковій програмі? Okay, good. So I think whether you are interested in bachelor's programs, master's programs, or PhD programs, this will be interesting and applicable for any of you, no matter what level you're applying for, and we'll talk about all of them, okay? So, when you are thinking about education, higher education in the U.S., you really need to ask yourself an important question. Яка ваша кінцева ціль? Okay? Why do you want to study in the U.S.? Because there are good reasons to study in the U.S., and there are not so very good reasons to study in the U.S., okay? So we can see here, these are all great reasons. These are all things that you will gain from studying in the U.S., whether it's a degree program or a short-term program. These are all great reasons, okay? These down here, these are not so good reasons, right? I want to live in the U.S., it's a cool country, or there's nothing for me to do in Ukraine, or I want to practice English. These are not great reasons to study in the U.S. And why is that? Because applying to U.S. universities and going to a U.S. university takes a lot of time and energy and money, so you want to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, okay? So if you want to learn English, there are a lot better ways to do that than going through the long process of applying to American universities. So make sure that you really ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Why will higher education in the U.S. help me rather than higher education in Ukraine or in some other country? So make sure that you understand really well why you want to do this. So maybe actually you can share with me why you're interested in studying in the U.S. Чому вам цікаво навчатися в університетах США? Хто хоче поділитися? Anyone? Будь ласка. I feel like you want to say something. Так. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Higher education, maybe for proposing something to our students in our college.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so sort of for career development, so you can better help your own students. Okay, good. So yeah, absolutely. To expand career opportunities in the future, those are all great reasons. Okay, so make sure that you ask yourself this question and you really spend time thinking about this before you go through this process. Okay. Окей, в Education USA в нас така проста схема. 5 кроків до навчання в США. Okay? So I know that the process can be very long, it can be overwhelming. So that's why we encourage students, don't look at the whole process all at once. Okay? Take it step by step. And we're here to help you. At Education USA, we're here to help you through all steps of the process. Okay? So today, during this presentation, we're going to focus on the first, second, and the third step. Okay? The fourth and the fifth step, as you can see, visa, questions of the visa, and preparing for your departure. You don't have to worry about those for a long time. First, get into a university, find financial aid, submit your applications. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so this is basically the outline of what we're going to talk about. First, researching your options. We will answer all of these questions, financing your education, and then talking about the application package. And then, of course, at the end, we'll have time for questions and answers if you have them. Okay, so first of all, who has heard of Education USA before today? couple of you. Okay, good. In case you haven't heard of us, who are we? So Education USA is an official network of the U.S. State Department. So we are the official source of information about U.S. higher education. So our goal is to give accurate, comprehensive, and unbiased information about education in the higher education in the U.S. Okay, we work with all accredited American colleges and universities. So we do not promote specific colleges. We work with all colleges and universities, and we work to help students find their best fit. We want you to find the best option for you, okay? We work all around the world in more than 180 countries. In Ukraine, our main center is here in Kyiv on Esplanada 20 near Metro Palace Sportu, and also the Window on America centers in Oblast centers around the country are our official partners. So are you all from Kyiv? Ви всі з Києва, так? Okay, if you're joining us online and you're not from Kyiv, you can go to your local Window on America Center and they have resources relating to Education USA. Okay, so your first step is research your options, okay? So you've decided you want to study in the US, but you still have to figure out, okay, again, what is going to be right for me? Am I interested in undergraduate programs? Undergraduate – це бакалаврські програми, okay? Graduate – це що? Магістерські і докторські програми. Maybe you want to participate in an English language program, maybe on the basis of a university, or perhaps you're more interested in a short-term exchange program, okay? So again, depending on what your goals are, what you want to get out of your education in the US, think about which of these options is right for you, okay? These are some resources. I'll talk more about resources at the end, but these are really where you should start your search, okay? This site, educationusa.state.gov, це все англійською мовою, but there are a lot of resources for searching for universities, searching for financial aid, and again, understanding what options are available to you. So that's a great place to start. This is our specific Ukrainian site. Вся інформація тут українською мовою. And again, we have lots of information there about the system of higher education in the US, what does it mean to get a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, PhD degree, and everything else. And then americancouncils.org in Ukraine, Education USA is administered by American Councils. So you can also find lots of resources here about different exchange programs, different resources, etc. So really, no matter what, these three websites are where you should start your search to figure out, okay, what kind of education do I want to get in the US and what options are available to me? Okay, so once you've visited those websites, you'll find out that basically there are two basic options, okay? The first option is to go through an exchange program that is sponsored by the U.S. government, okay? These are all short-term exchange programs, except for Fulbright. We'll talk about that in a moment. But these are, again, programs that are funded by the U.S. Embassy, okay? So I'm sure you all know about the FLEX program. You know about FLEX, yes? FLEX, this is for, probably you're the only, Учні тут? Yeah, so this is a program for school students, right? And you can go study in an American high school for 1 year. You live with a host family and you get to experience life in high school. So if you're currently in 8th form or 9th form, you'll still have the chance to test next year for FLEX. Global UGrad, this is a program for current students at Ukrainian universities where you can study 1 semester in an American university completely free, completely безкоштовно. They pay for your flight, they pay for your tuition, they pay for your living, they give you a stipend, everything like that. And we will have a presentation about Global UGrad November 7th, so that's already next week here at America House if you want to learn more about that. SUSI is a summer program related to American studies, American culture. Fulbright, maybe many of you have heard of that. This is an option for graduate students to receive a master's degree in the US completely free. You know, they pay for everything. T is for teachers. These are professional programs. So this is not what we're focusing on today, but just so you know, you can go to the site of the U.S. Embassy and find out more about these exchange programs if you're thinking, okay, a short-term program is more what I'm interested in. All of these are competitive programs, so you do have to apply. Добрий вечір. So you do have to apply. There is a competition, okay? But this is not what we're going to focus on, but if you want to know more info, go to the site of the U.S. Embassy. This is more what we're going to talk about today. If you decide really, with my own strength and energy and time and money, I want to apply to an American university to receive a diploma, to receive a degree, this is what we're going to talk about, okay? And so this process is a little bit more different, a little bit more complicated than going through an exchange program. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Okay. So there are some important things that you should know about the system of higher education in the U.S. As you're thinking about, again, what option is going to be right for you. So as I mentioned, there are more than 4,000, almost 5,000 accredited colleges and universities in the United States. And as I said, Education USA works with all of them, okay? So that's a lot of choices, and that's why this process of research takes a long time, because obviously you cannot research all 4,000 of those, but you need to figure out what are my priorities, and then narrow that list down. And we'll talk about how to narrow down your priorities a little bit later. The second thing you should know is that in the United States, there's no Ministry of Education, okay? So there is no central government body that manages higher education, which means that it's a very decentralized system, and it means that all universities are very independent, okay? So вони вирішують сам собі свої критерії для прийняття студентів, свої факультети, програми і так далі. Okay, so again, that's why this process of research is very important, because each university has everything is different from university to university, okay? In the US, there is no ZNAO. Maybe that's not a surprise to you. So there is no state entrance exam. There are standardized tests. Maybe you have heard of the SAT, the ACT, the GRE. But again, they are not managed by the government, and admissions does not only depend on test results, okay? Вступ не тільки залежить від результатів тестів. Okay, so we call it a holistic admissions process. So they want to see an essay, they want to see your resume, they want to see your grades, your test results. They really want to see a full picture of you before they make a decision, okay? Good. Again, because they're all very independent, all admissions requirements are really different from university to university. So you have to look at each one very specifically and make sure you understand what they require. Usually we tell students that they need to prepare for admission to U.S. universities at minimum 1 year, or even better, 1.5 years. Okay, so for example, if you want to start studying in September of next year, in September of 2020, you already need to start sending your documents in the fall and winter of this year. Okay, November, usually not in October, but November, December, January, okay? And so the 6 months before that needs to be this process of research, okay? So that's why we say at minimum 1 year, but 1.5 years is even better, okay? So if you are in 9th form now, 10th form now, it's not too early to start thinking about this. And again, if you're in your 3rd year of university, 4th year of university, it's not too early, okay? So this is a rather long process. That's why you need to prepare for it well and understand all the steps and what you have to do at each point in the process. Okay. There is no limit to the amount of American universities that you can apply to. We usually say that quality is better than quantity, right? It's better to prepare, a few really good applications than to send out 30 of them that are not so good. But for undergraduate students, for bachelor's programs, we usually recommend that you apply to 10 or 12. Master's programs, maybe 3 to 5, 7 at most. And PhD programs should be even more specific, usually 3 or 4, okay? Okay, so when you're sort of preparing for this, when you're again in the phase of thinking about what are my goals, what do I want to get out of higher education in the U.S., you really need to think about your priorities. And we're going to talk about that in the next slide or the slide after that. But you need to think about what's important for you, okay? When you have 4,000 universities, you have to figure out, how do I choose one, okay? Be realistic with yourself. I think throughout this presentation, I'll mention a couple points where, you really need to be realistic about a lot of things, about your own costs, your own finances, about your level of English, okay? But again, if you still have some time until you want to apply to American universities, start thinking about some of these things that are a little bit more weak, maybe that you think would be a weakness in your application. So if you are a little bit uncomfortable with your level of English, find ways to improve that. Here at America House, speaking clubs, whatever, find ways to improve your English language, because that will be important, of course, for studying at American universities. Academic achievements, again, maybe you have some weak points, maybe some of your grades aren't so good either at university or at school. If you have time, try to get those grades up. Try to get involved in extracurricular activities, again, academic activities, because those will be really important when you're applying to American universities. If you're thinking about master's and PhD programs, it's really important that you have specific career goals, that you know exactly what you want to do with your degree, and how studying at an American university and studying at the specific American universities that you're applying to will help you towards those goals, okay? This is not so important on the undergraduate level. When you're applying for bachelor's programs, you don't need to know exactly what you want to do for your career, but for master's and PhD programs, you really do need to know that information. So if you still have some questions about what do I want to do in the future, maybe try to get some work experience, internship experience, volunteer experience to help you understand what do I want to do for my career in the future. And financial aid, we're going to talk about that a lot today because I'm sure that's a big question for many of you, okay? Okay, so as I said, when you have 4,000 American universities, how do you narrow it down? You need to think about your priorities. What's important to me? Okay, so first of all, again, you will have different priorities for undergraduate versus graduate. Okay, but these are some things you might think about. So let's start with the type of the education institution. So in general, there are three types of educational institutions. Public universities or state universities, державні університети, приватні університети і дворічні коледжі. Okay? So let's start with state colleges, державні університети. They are generally bigger. Usually they have more students, so maybe 40,000 students, 30,000 students study there. And they usually look cheaper. They seem cheaper, but they, in general, offer less financial aid to international students. Okay? Вони пропонують менше фінансової допомоги іноземним студентам. That's important to understand, okay? So even though they seem cheaper, they have a lower price tag. Remember that they usually are not so generous with financial aid for international students, okay? Приватні університети, вони взагалі менші. For example, there might be 3,000 students there, 10,000 students there, even 800 students there. And they are usually more expensive, but they offer more financial aid to international students, okay? Приватні університети, вони досить щедрі, скажімо так, стосовно фінансової допомоги, okay? So even if you may be a little bit alarmed when you see the price of a private university, remember that they offer more financial aid to international students in general, okay? But sometimes we hear stereotypes about state versus private colleges and universities. You can earn a quality diploma in a state university or in a private university, okay? There's no difference between the quality of education, all right? Same thing with colleges versus universities. Я знаю, що в Україні є велика різниця між коледжами та університетами, так? В США ці синоніми, okay? College, university. Correct. Yes. So again, you can earn a quality diploma, a quality education in a college or in a university. Okay. Sometimes colleges do not have master's or PhD programs, but even now that's changing. It's basically just a difference of name. Okay. So during this presentation, I'll say college, university. It's the same thing. Okay. And then there are two-year colleges. Ці дворічні коледжі. We call them community colleges. And you cannot receive a bachelor's degree in a community college because they're just 2 years. You can receive a 2-year degree if that is appropriate for your career goals. Or you can study in this 2-year college for 2 years, take your general courses, math, economics, history, English, and then transfer, перейти або до державного, або до приватного університету ще 2 роки, через 4 роки у вас є ступінь бакалавра. Чому це робити? Тому що ці дворічні коледжі, вони набагато дешевші, набагато. Okay, so for these first 2 years, when you're trying to figure out what you want to study, we're talking about bachelor's programs right now. So master's, PhD programs, this is not an option for you to study in a community college. But for bachelor's degree, this is a great option. These first 2 years, you take your general classes, you figure out what you want to study, you save a lot of money, and then when you know, at the end of 2 years, okay, I know I want to study economics, then you transfer, finish your education, and you've saved a lot of money. Okay, so that might be a great option for you. Okay, Location, this is very important. We often hear, hello, my name is whatever, Maria. I want to study in the US and I want to live in New York City, right? And that can be a very cool life, but also what? Very, very, very expensive. Yeah, unfortunately. So this is what when I was saying earlier, bud realistom, we have to sort of give you a reality check, right? So living in big cities, New York City, Los Angeles, Miami. In New York City, for example, living costs for 1 month, maybe $3,000 or $4,000, okay? So you got to be realistic with yourself. But the really great thing is that the United States is a very big country, and there are a lot of great colleges and universities in the middle of the country, in Kansas and Indiana and Oklahoma that maybe you've never heard of, and not very big towns, but where you can get a good education and it's a lot cheaper, okay? So don't think only about living on the coast in California or in New York, because it can be rather expensive. If you have the money for that, that's great. Go for it. And there are ways to receive financial aid. But again, don't only think about these big cities and these famous colleges that you've heard of, because you have a lot of choices that may be better for your wallet, let's say that. Okay. So vartist, again, same story. You really need to be realistic with yourself. I'm glad I see some parents in the audience. So that's an important conversation that you have to have, students have to have with their parents, right? People ask us a lot, what's the average cost? Середна вартість навчання в США? And there really is no answer to that, okay? Є коледжі, які коштують $10,000 на рік, а є коледжі і університети, які коштують $80,000 на рік, okay? So it's this really big range. That's why we emphasize so much this process of research, okay? Make sure you're looking at universities that fit your needs, okay? But remember, we'll talk about this later with financial aid, even if a college does cost $80,000 a year, you will most certainly not pay all of that. They will give you some financial aid, but still, you have to consider what works for you, all right? Academic interest, I think this is quite straightforward. If you know you want to study chemistry, look for schools that have strong chemistry programs, right? This is especially going to be important for master's and PhD programs. When you sort of know, you have a very specific idea of what you want to study, look for universities that offer a strong program in that field, okay? Financial aid, we'll talk a lot more about that later. Any special needs you have, application requirements. Let's say, for example, you don't want to take these standardized tests. You say, I don't want to take the SAT or the ACT. I don't have the time. I don't have the money for that because, unfortunately, you have to pay to take these tests. In that case, a community college, these 2-year colleges might be an option for you because they have less requirements, okay? So again, think about what are your priorities, what's important to you, okay? And for bachelor's program and master's and PhD programs, but I would say especially for bachelor's programs, you need to think about what kind of environment do I want to be in? Like, where do I want to live for 4 years? Where am I going to be happy for 4 years? Where will I grow as a person? Okay, so thinking about the environment that you want to be in is very important because a university with 30,000 students is going to have a very different feeling than a school with 2,000 students, right? It's a big difference. So think about where will I learn best? What kind of environment do I want to be in, okay? Okay, so after you've done that research about your options, you have a list maybe of 15 universities that you think you want to apply to. You know what's important to me. You figured out, okay, I know location is important to me. I want to be in, I don't know, Montana, and I know I want to study chemistry. So great, you know what your priorities are. So then you need to think about the financing of your education, okay? And what I really want you to understand is that you have to think about this from the beginning, okay? Ви маєте думати про фінансування спочатку, okay? We have some unfortunate, sad cases where students come to us in April or May, and they say, I got into a university, I'm so excited, I want to go study in September, but I just found out they don't offer financial aid to international students, okay? And that's very sad for us, and we can't help you at that point. It's almost too late, okay? So if you realize, 3 months before you're supposed to go study in the U.S. that you're missing $20,000, you're going to have a hard time coming up with $20,000, okay? So make sure that you're thinking about this from the beginning. How are you going to pay for all this, okay? These are just some, this is just some data about how many Ukrainian students studied at American universities last year. Okay, so we're still waiting on 2018, 2019 data. We haven't received it yet, but in 2017, 2018 майже 2000 українських студентів навчалися в університетах США. Okay, so це зовсім можливо. Це не зовсім легко, але це зовсім можливо, because almost 2,000 Ukrainian students are studying in the US right now. And that number has been getting larger every year since 2014. So we expect this year it will be even a little bit higher, okay? Okay, so this is the sort of outline of what we're going to talk about regarding finances, okay? The types of financial aid, why do universities give financial aid, to whom do they give financial aid, and how can you receive financial aid, okay? So we'll answer all these questions during this presentation. Okay, we're going to skip that. Okay, so first of all, there are some important terms that you have to understand, okay? So we have the cost of attendance, so the entire cost of going to that university. And there are two parts of that, okay? Є дві частини. Tuition and fees, okay? So вартість навчання and різні там збори. And then living costs, вартість проживання, okay? So you need to really understand what you're looking at when you're looking at a university's website, okay? So they may say, for example, at the University of Michigan, let's say, they might say tuition is $12,000. You think, oh, $12,000, that's not bad. But you have to remember that living costs may also be $10,000 a year or something like that, okay? So it's actually $22,000 a year to go to that school. So make sure you understand. If it says cost of attendance, це все разом. Вартість навчання і вартість проживання. Але якщо там написано тільки tuition, це просто вартість навчання. Не забудьте про вартість проживання. Okay? So tuition and fees. Fees, again, basically means like library fees, using laboratories, okay? They usually include that all together. And then, of course, living costs, I think this is clear. So room and board. Are you living in a dormitory, apartment? Where are you living? Of course, food, books and supplies, transportation, personal expenses, health insurance, etc. And most universities will give you an estimate. They will say it will cost you approximately, I don't know, $10,000 a year to live at this university, okay? So they're really good about giving you estimates. But there are ways to make this cheaper, right? So most students live in dormitories. Що таке dormitory? Так. But, for example, if you get an apartment with friends or even a house with friends off campus, за межами кампусу, це може бути набагато дешевше. Okay? So it's up to you, but there are ways to make this cheaper. All right? This is something that you will see written on many college and university websites. Limited grant funding is available to highest achieving international applicants based on need. So we see three important parts here. First of all, limited. So they don't, obmежені, they don't have, infinity money. So that means, right, this is a competition, yeah, конкуренція. First of all, highest achieving. So again, you need to have academic achievements, leadership achievements, things like that, but also based on need. Okay, so we have three parts here. First of all, that it's limited, you're competing for resources, you need to be high achieving, but also if you have need, якщо у вас є потреба, they try to help you, okay? So these are the basic types of financial aid or financing your studies. So first of all, власні кошти. Okay, so that's really where you need to start. Just figure out how much can I pay for my own education? How much can my family contribute to my own education? And something is always better than nothing, right? Because if a university has two students, they have more or less the same profile, the same application, but one can pay $500 a year for their education and one can pay $0 a year for their education, who is the university going to pick? The person who can pay $500 a year. It's not a lot, but it's something and it's cheaper for the university, okay? So again, something is better than nothing. Financial aid from the university, we'll talk about what all these things mean. Merit, need, athletic, we'll talk about that all later. But when you're accepted to a university, they give you a financial aid packet, okay? Вони пропонують такий пакет фінансової допомоги. І є різні частини. We're going to talk about all of those later. Робота під час навчання, okay? So це може бути тільки робота на кампусі, okay? На студентську візу ви, в принципі, не можете працювати за межами кампусу. Okay? Це важливо розуміти. So don't just think, oh, well, go get a job at Starbucks or McDonald's, because on a student visa, in general, you cannot do that. Okay? But usually there are a number of opportunities to get work on campus. So you could work in the library, in a cafe somewhere, even in the gym or in the dormitory. So there are lots of opportunities to work on campus and earn some extra money that way. Loans, of course, credit. I won't go into details about that, but you should know that you more or less will not be able to earn credit or loans from the U.S. government. Okay, that's only available to U.S. citizens, so it would have to be, of course, through your own Ukrainian system. Okay, спонсори, інші донори, програми, громади, фонди. Okay, є багато можливостей отримати фінансування. Okay, просто треба пошукати. All right. And again, at Education USA, we have a lot of resources to help you find those things. It's all out there. There are a lot of people who want to give money to good, high-achieving students, so you just have to know where to look. But of course, the best way is to combine all of these sources of financial aid. Okay. So в США, я не знаю, чи на жаль, чи на щастя, я не знаю, але це не так просто, як на бюджету або ні. Okay, so you kind of have to put together all these sources. I think this is obvious that I'm an American, and when I studied at university, I had almost all of these. Okay, I had my own costs, I had merit-based financial aid, need-based financial aid, I worked on campus, I took out loans, and I had outside donors and scholarships. Okay, so 6 different sources of financial aid. Okay, so you kind of have to put it together. Okay. All right, so then we have to think of the question, why do universities give money? Чому університети дають гроші студентам? Okay? So, it may sound a little, I don't know, неприємно, but basically you are like an object of investment for the university, right? Maybe that's obvious, right? So this is their way of encouraging. They also want to get good students studying at their university, right? They want to have the best students at their university. So how do they do that? They offer you money, right? So when you're thinking about financial aid and you're thinking about, okay, well, I'm an investment for the university, this is why you sort of need to think about the expectations of the university. Not only your own expectations, but also the expectations of the university. Excuse me. So they want you to have an active social life, right? So one feature of the American higher education system is that they don't want you to just sit in the library and be a good student for 4 years. They also want you to be active on campus, okay? They want you to be involved in volunteering, in sports, in different clubs, because they want you to become a well-rounded person, not just a smart person, but also a well-rounded person who can go out and make a difference in the world, right? And again, basically, you're sort of a long advertisement for the university, right? Because even after you graduate, if you're very successful or whatever, you can say, oh, I graduated from University of Michigan, and this is an advertisement for the University of Michigan, and they say, that's our student, right? This high-achieving person, scientist, researcher, leader, politician, whatever, they went to our university. So that's like an advertisement for them, okay? So why do you need to know this? So that your application matches the expectations of the university. Okay, so that's really important that you understand what is the university looking for and you match that to what you have to offer. Okay, that's what's going to make you successful, is matching yourself to the university. Because not only are you looking for what university is going to be best for me, but they're also looking for what students are going to fit best at our university. So it's really a two-way street, okay? Yeah, so this is basically just repeating what we said. As you can see, it's very important that you really need to match yourself to the university, okay? And what they ask for. So let's say, for example, that they often have statistics and data about their students posted on their website. So they may say, the average TOEFL score of our students is, let's say, 110, which is quite high. Let's say you have a TOEFL score of 60. probably do not spend time applying to this university because you do not match what they're looking for. And if they're giving financial aid to students who have TOEFL scores of 105, 110, 115, whatever, they're probably not going to give you financial aid. So again, make sure you match the profile of the students they're looking for, okay? All right. So again, now we understand why universities give out money. So now who do they give it to? Basically, achievements, academic achievements, also work achievements, leadership achievements, that's all where this comes from, okay? So basically, we give them what we think they're worth, okay? Okay. And so all of these things play into that. What does it mean, досягнення? These are all included in that, okay? So again, when you take these standardized tests, TOEFL, IELTS, SAT, ACT, GRE, it's really important to get good scores on those tests if you want to receive financial aid, okay? Of course, a good GPA, середній бал. Of course, if you're in school, that's important to them. They will look at your grades from school. If you already received a bachelor's degree in the U.S., you want to get a master's or PhD, if you already received a bachelor's degree in Ukraine and you want to get master's or PhD degree in the U.S., they will look at your grades from university, okay? They want to see your motivation, okay? Ви маєте писати або есей, або мотиваційний лист. І там буде показано ваша мотивація, і це дуже важливо, okay? We also have lectures about how to write essays and statements of purpose, so we can help with that as well. But this is really important. Don't underestimate that. Because again, they want to see, why do you want to study at our school and not at these other schools? They want to see that you really are passionate about their school and their program, okay? Recommendations are also important. You'll have to get recommendations either from teachers or from professors or from employers, from volunteer leaders, community leaders. That's also important, okay? If you're applying for master's or PhD programs, they want to see that you have professional experience and that you have made a difference in your work, okay? And again, being social actively and being a leader, okay? That includes volunteering is very important. And all those things that maybe you wouldn't think would be important in an application, they really are interested in that, right? Do you play a sport? Do you play a musical instrument? Do you dance? Any of those things will show them that you're a well-rounded person and you have interests outside of just academic interests, right? Yeah, so again, the bigger sort of list of achievements that you have, inventory of achievements, the higher chance of receiving financial aid, okay? Because they want to see, again, this person is a good investment for us. This person is going to be successful in life, so we want them to study at our university, okay? Okay, so now let me ask you. Як гадаєте, в кого вищі шанси отримати фінансування? На рівні бакалавра, магістр або доктор? Так, правильно. І чому?
Бо менше конкурс, менше людей подає.
Окей, так, абсолютно правильно. І що ще? Ну, це кращий інвестмент для університету, так? Exactly, yeah. So with a doctor, with a PhD student, you can say, okay, this person is going to be a famous researcher. They're going to discover something. They're going to write a book. And so again, this is all about PR for the universities. They can say, oh, that scientist went to our university, right? Now, that's not to say, я не кажу, що немає фінансування на рівні бакалавра. Це не правда. But if you're applying for doctors or master's programs, the good news is that there's a lot more financial aid. On the bachelor's level, you know, you haven't quite proven your worth to the university yet. But financial aid is still available. But if you're going for a PhD program, that's really great news. Okay. And what about dependence on your field of study? В кого вищі шанси отримати фінансування? Точні науки, соціальні та гуманітарні або медицина, бізнес-право? Так, і чому?
Так само приємні піар.
Ну,
Людина, скоріш за все, зможе це якось показати, що вона
так, абсолютно правильно. So, точні науки, we say STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In general, they have more chances to receive financial aid. again, that's not to say that you cannot receive financial aid here. I studied, мої спеціальності були історія і театр, і я отримала, досить щедру фінансову допомогу, okay? But I will say about медицина, бізнес і право майже немає фінансування, okay? So, that's important to know. If you want to study medicine, especially if you want to study medicine and you need financial aid, the U.S. is probably not the best place to do that, okay? Because medical education in the U.S. is very expensive. It takes a long time. There are opportunities, but again, if you want to study medicine, business, or law, you need to be prepared to finance your own education, more or less, okay? Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about what you might receive, okay? So, again, when you are accepted to an American university, вони пропонують цей пакет фінансової допомоги, є взагалі 3-4 частини. So again, university, це на рівень бакалавра. University stipends and basically this is associated with your achievements, right? Merit-based. Це пов'язані з оцінками, з результатами тестів, лідерство і так далі. Okay? So this is, again, tied to your achievements, okay? That they will see all of this in your application. You'll have the opportunities to write about awards you've won. They'll ask for your transcripts. You can talk about different activities you're involved with. So this will all be shown in your application. And then need-based financial aid. Це пов'язані з потребою, з фінансовою ситуацією в сім'ї. So there will be a financial profile that you'll have to fill out about your parents' income and everything like that. And if they see you have a high level of need, they try to help you out, okay? Спортивні стипендії. Є спортсмени тут? Ой, sorry. Немає спортсменів? Okay. Then I guess don't worry about it. But if anyone online, if you're watching online and you're interested in sports scholarships, you do have to be quite a serious athlete, okay? So it's not just, oh, I play football once a week with my friends. Like, this is a serious process. You have to talk with coaches. You have to send them videos. And we have different lectures about that. It's a whole other question. But if you want to receive athletic scholarships, it is possible, but it's a longer process, okay? As I said before, you can work on campus. Especially at big universities, there are lots of opportunities to work on campus. And then again, you could go through an exchange program through the U.S. government if you want to have that paid for. But again, these are competitive programs, okay, so it's not a guarantee. Master's and doctoral programs, it's more or less the same, merit-based. But here may also be included an assistantship. Okay, so this could be a teaching assistantship where you help a professor teach some classes, you help a professor with research, or maybe you just work in the office, you help them with administrative work, but that can be another really helpful source of financial aid. Good, all right. Okay. So, again, if you still have some time when you're thinking about, some time until you're thinking about applying to U.S. universities, these are all things that you can be thinking about now, especially if you have some weaker sides. Again, maybe if you don't have any volunteer experience on your resume, start looking for ways to volunteer, okay? Prepare adequately for these tests, these standardized tests. That's a really big thing. That's unfortunately where we see a lot of students sort of everything's going well, and then they don't do well on the tests, and then it's really hard to make yourself attractive to universities after that, okay? So TOEFL, IELTS, SAT, ACT, GRE, GMAT, you need to spend time preparing for these. 3-4 або 6 місяців, або більше, okay? Even if you think, you're pretty confident in your level of English, taking these English tests is completely different. They're testing something completely different than, your communicative skills. So, again, at educationusa, we have materials to help you prepare for all these tests, so make sure you do that. And if you get good test results, that will help you receive financial aid, okay? I think this is all clear, right? Make sure that you show your best side in your application. Make sure that you don't only depend on one university, and make sure your list of universities is diverse. Okay, have your dream schools, your schools that are expensive and maybe a reach, but also have your comfort schools, where you'd be happy, and then some safety schools just in case, okay? Because again, unfortunately, we have some sad cases where students only apply to Ivy League schools, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford, MIT. They don't get accepted to any of the universities, or they don't receive adequate financial aid, and then they don't have any options left. So have a nice diverse list of schools, okay? Don't depend only on one source of financial aid. Again, like we talked about, put all these different parts together, okay? Follow directions, це дуже важливо. І також дедлайни дуже важливі для американців, okay? We love our deadlines, so make sure if it says it's due November 1st, have it in before November 1st, okay? Because something always goes wrong, with your transcript or your recommendation letter. Just do everything early, but if it says, 11:59 p.m. on November 1st and you turned it in at 12:01 a.m. on November 2nd, too bad. They're going to throw it in the trash. They're very serious about deadlines, okay? With this, it can really help if you have like a nice little chart where you show like all of your schools, you show all your deadlines, all the requirements. So just make sure you organize yourself very well. Okay. Maybe this has been obvious during the presentation, but applying to colleges and universities also costs money, okay? It costs money to get the visa, costs money to take these tests. Sometimes there are application fees. So we have this program called Opportunity Fund, це грантова програма, and we help you cover the cost of application, okay? Not the cost of studying, but the cost of application. You have to be a member of the competitive college club to be eligible for this, but if you're still thinking a little bit down the road, you still have a while till you are applying, apply to be in the competitive college club next fall, and if you have financial need, we can help you out with the Opportunity Funds program as well. Okay. Третій крок. У вас вже університети, фінансування. Зараз треба подавати заявки. Okay? So, again, make sure you know what each university requires, okay? Всі університети мають різні вимоги до вступу, okay? So make sure that you understand that, you spend time looking on their website, understanding what they need. And if you have questions, if you're not sure, you don't understand something, ask an admissions officer, okay? They have people whose job it is to answer your questions. So don't be afraid to email them and ask. Make sure that you register for and take these tests well in advance, especially, for example, SAT. I'm not sure about ACT, but SAT for sure is only offered a couple times every year. Okay, so don't just assume, I'll just sign up and I'll take it next week. You need to look at when these tests are offered in Kyiv or other places in the country if you're not from Kyiv. Make sure you sign up for them well in advance. Prepare for them, please. Prepare for your tests and try to get the highest scores you can. Okay? So again, всі університети мають різні вимоги, але це такий стандартний пакет документів, okay? Аплікаційна форма. This is where you have all your personal information. You write about your achievements, you write about your hobbies, whatever, interests, experience, all that. Транскрипти і дипломи. Мотиваційний лист або есей. Рекомендаційні листи, вони дуже важливі. Або від вчителів, або викладачів, або supervisors, bosses at work, right, or community leaders. Again, scores on these standardized tests, CV or resume if you're applying for master's or PhD programs, професійний досвід це важливі, і, інші документи, okay? So, for example, if you're applying for fine arts programs, you might have to submit an art portfolio or something like that, okay? Okay, so четвертий крок, again, after you submit all your documents, your application, then you just wait. Okay, so usually these deadlines are before Christmas, which is really nice because then you get to celebrate the holidays. You don't have to worry about anything. And then usually results, depends on the university, but usually results will come February, March, somewhere in there. Okay, so you've gotten accepted, you have financial aid, everything's okay. And so then usually the summer before you start studying, so if you're starting in September, then May or June, you've made your decision and you start applying for your student visa, okay? This is actually pretty straightforward. Thank you. There's like a stereotype that it's difficult for Ukrainian students to receive student visas. And in general, that's not true. If you have all the documents you need, You follow the instructions. Usually there are no problems, okay? And then step 5, prepare for departure. Figure out what you need, what you don't need, where you're going to live, all those things, okay? Okay, before I talk about resources, are there any questions? Які у вас питання?
Sorry, I remembered I had one question. So you said that you recommend to apply master's degree, you recommend to apply to 5, 7 universities, less than for bachelor's degree. Why is it?
Because, well, first of all, for bachelor's degrees, there's something called a common application, така спільна аплікація, where you can apply to many universities all at once. So you apply, you fill out one application form, and then you can send it to any universities that use the application. So it's less work. So that's the first reason, is that for bachelor's programs, it's much easier to just prepare one application and send it to multiple universities. For master's and PhD programs, they each have their own specific application. So it's a lot more work. First of all, it's a lot more work, so that's why we say it's better to have 5, 6, 7 quality applications, because it's going to be a lot of work for you. And also for bachelor's programs, your applications don't necessarily need to be specific for the university, okay? To some extent they do, but not as much as for master's and PhD programs. Like for master's programs, PhD programs, your motivation letters, your resumes, your application needs to be, okay, specifically, why do I want to study at Georgetown? This application is about Georgetown, okay? So you have to write unique letters and applications for each university. For bachelor's programs, not so much, okay? They want to see more about who you are as a person, your potential for growth, your potential to study, and things like that. So it's less work because the applications are less specific. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm.
Я перепрошую.
Mm-hmm.
У мене два питання.
Okay.
Перше. У європейських університетах медицина не ділиться на бакалаврську та магістерську
Мгм.
програму, вона є об'єднаною.
Mm-hmm.
Чи так само, що в американських університетах?
Так, це так само. В американських університетах на рівні бакалавра в нас такий pre-med, і це більш-менш загальні предмети, а потім ви подаєтеся на medical school. Це зовсім інша справа.
Значить, я правильно зрозумів, що цей шлях community college
Мгм.
і далі
Мгм.
у нас закритий для отримання медичної освіти, саме медичної.
Це чудове питання. Чи можна... Мені здається... Так, я розумію. Мені здається, що так, бо взагалі для більшість спеціальностей ви не маєте обрати спеціальність до кінця другого курсу. Okay? Це тому ці перші 2 роки це може бути просто історії, економіки, математики і так далі, і ви дізнаєтеся, що саме ви хочете вивчити. Але я так розумію, що для pre-med ви маєте це знати з першого курсу. Це тому маєте 4 роки study pre-med, а не можна в цих дворічних коледжів. Зрозуміло? Угу.
Ну і третє питання.
Угу.
Якщо спеціальність медицина має найменші шанси на отримання допомоги, вони наскільки найменші? Я розумію, що якщо стукатись в усі двері, то якась з них відчиниться, але все ж таки хотілося б розуміти. Чи не витратимо ми там половину життя на пошуки?
Так, бо, наприклад, якщо ви хочете бути, такі самі, like a practicing doctor, це вже, десь 10-12 років навчання в США. Але є такі спеціальності, галузі, які близькі до медицини, але не точно в медицині. Це може бути кращий варіант. Це тому, ми рекомендуємо, що, можливо, думайте про різні можливості, які не саме, що бути practicing доктором, але щось там трошки інші. В нас дуже гарна лекція, до речі, на нашому YouTube-каналі про такі різні галузі, сфері, спеціальності, які близькі до медицини, але не триває 10-12 років навчання. Так, медицина, освіта в США – це зовсім інше питання, так.
Тому, бо самотужки розібратися, не просто складно, а архіскладно. З сином, я просто занурився вже рік, і я досі не склав пазли. Навіть як на цей шлях стати. Ні, як стати я знаю, а як стати правильно.
Так, звичайно. Після лекції я можу показати вам цю лекцію, де можна знайти на нашому YouTube-каналі. Я думаю, що це може бути корисно. Окей. Інші питання?
So do they have financial aid for pre-med bachelor degree?
Yes, they do. So, like for bachelor's degree, yes. And so I'm not saying that, you write, so I want to study medicine, and they will send you a letter that says, congratulations, we're giving you $0, right? It's not like that. It's не так просто, but взагалі є менші можливості отримати фінансування. On pre-med, yes, there is, would be chances to receive financial aid because it's still rather a general degree, right? But then when you're applying to medical schools after bachelor's degree, that's when you're going to have trouble finding financial aid. And the reason that it is this way is because я знаю, що це відрізняються в Україні і в США. Але в США doctors, this is like they have the highest salaries of anybody else, okay? So doctors is the highest paid profession in the US, almost, besides lawyers. So the logic there is, well, we don't need to give you financial aid for your education because after you work for 5 or 10 years as a doctor, you'll have paid everything off. Like, you earn a lot of money as a doctor. So, say, that's the logic that's there. Okay.
Is there some age limits? Let's say if you decide to enroll.
Absolutely not. My dad actually received his master's degree when he was 55 years old. So, yeah, there's no limits. Yeah. As long as you're ready to study, and they see that in your application, there's no limits, yeah.
So I can get to some, also, I can apply for some help.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what are the chances, for example, to get a scholarship if you got 95 on TOEFL or something like this?
So again, each university is going to be different. Some may say, some may have like a minimum TOEFL. They may say minimum 90 or minimum 100 or whatever. Some of them more just have guidelines. Usually we recommend that to apply to American universities, you should not have lower than, absolutely should not have lower than an 80, but it really needs to be higher than that to receive good financial aid. So I would say 95 is pretty good. But of course, if you have the opportunity, this goes for everybody. If you have the opportunity to take tests again, study more, get it even better, that of course will only help you. But 95 is a pretty good place to be. Yeah.
Many people told me that if I want to stay in university, I have to improve myself a lot. Is it true? Is it really so hard to stay in university?
What do you mean by stay?
Continue studying or
Like to finish university. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's like school. I mean, you do have to work hard to graduate, but I mean, the majority of students I don't think drop out. Like, they don't drop out from school because of grades or something like that. So for some very competitive fields like medicine, like law, like business, you do have to pass like different exams in order to continue on. That is what can be difficult, is if you don't pass these specific medical exams, these specific law exams, that is what can be difficult, right? But to simply graduate, usually we don't hear of people having any problems because you're motivated, you work hard, right? But the trick will be passing these specific tests. But again, if you prepare for them in advance, just like for anything else, and you work hard, usually everything is okay. Did that answer your question? For medicine, it's rather specific, right? Because you have to take these exams to continue on, to go to medical school, to get your, to be a practicing doctor, and all of that, yeah. Other questions?
Can international students work after graduation?
Great question, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, so on a student visa, this is an F1 visa. On a student visa, you can, there's an option called optional practical training, OPT або CPT. I think it's here somewhere it was shown. I don't know if it's worth going back. Так, OPT або CPT. І this means that on a student visa, here we go. Ось. Показано. OPT, CPT. So on a student visa, after you finish studying, you can remain in the US and work for up to 1 year, up to 12 months. По галузі. But it has to be related to your field, okay? Again, you can't just go work at Starbucks or McDonald's. You have to find some work that is related to what you studied at university. До 12 місяців. Якщо у вас спеціальність в цій STEM галузі, Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics, ви можете залишитися і працювати до 3 років після навчання. Okay? So that's a great motivation to study STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics. Up to 3 years you can stay. Okay? Again, it has to be related to your field. So yeah, that's basically what your options are. If it's not STEM, then it's up to 12 months. If it is STEM, up to 3 years. Okay? But then after that, you must return to Ukraine or remain in the US on some other kind of visa. Okay? Other questions? Yes?
What are the chances to get full financial aid? I mean, which involves like accommodation and sort of this thing.
Yeah. Honestly, this rarely happens. Okay? Це рідко відбувається. Інколи відбувається. Наприклад, є зараз хлопець там з Києва, він зараз навчається в університеті Пенсильванія, там вартість навчання $80,000 на рік, і він отримав повну стипендію. Okay? But of course, he's like, you have to be a really motivated, a really high-achieving student. So it is possible, but it's difficult, to be completely honest with you. Again, for doctoral programs, PhD programs, you have higher chances to receive a living stipend and vartis навчання and all of that. For bachelor's programs, it's very difficult. But for master's and PhD programs, you have better chances, but it's still difficult. And it all depends on your academic achievements, your work experience, and all of that. Other questions? Okay, I'm going to go through these resources a little bit quickly because we're almost out of time. I already talked about these sites. On the bachelor's levels, these are where it's a really great place to start searching for universities, okay? So again, once you have your priorities, so for example, on College Board, you can go there and you can type in chemical engineering, and it'll show you all the universities that have chemical engineering programs. Or if you know you want to study in Kansas State because you have family there, look at all the universities in Kansas or whatever, okay? These are some great resources for searching for financial aid, okay? That's very important. Resources for master's and PhD students, again, for searching for universities according to your criteria. And this can be really helpful as well. If you know, hopefully on master's and PhD programs, you know exactly what field you want to study in, look for professional associations that may have a list of recommended schools that have strong programs, or they may even have financial aid opportunities, okay? Good. This is all of our info. We're on Facebook. You can see all of our events there. We're on Instagram, YouTube. So again, кожного четверга тут в американському домі в нас лекції, очевидно. And always the next day or the next week, we upload these lectures on YouTube, okay? So ви можете подивитися всі наші попередні лекції на нашому YouTube-каналі, okay? Here's our email if you want to send us an email. And in case I didn't say this at the beginning, все, що ми робимо безкоштовно. Okay? So всі наші заходи, презентації, так далі, безкоштовно. Okay? So actually on our Ukrainian site you can sign up for a consultation. Ви можете записатися на консультацію з нашими радниками, і ми можете обговорити з вами будь-які питання про вищу освіту в США з початку до кінця. All right? This is our Telegram channel. This is brand new, so we have lots of information there about stipends, scholarships, programs, things like that. And the most exciting thing, наш найбільший захід кожного року – це наша виставка вищої освіти в США вже цієї суботи. Okay? Again, участь безкоштовна, просто треба реєструватися заздалегідь. But again, representatives from 11 American colleges and universities will be present there, including from these community colleges, including from four-year colleges and universities. So this is a really great opportunity to speak one-on-one with them, ask them your questions. You don't have to speak with them over email or over the phone. You can just talk to them directly about all your questions, the process of applying financial aid, what financial aid they can offer. So this is a really great opportunity. So if you can join us this Saturday, the fair officially starts at 3 p.m. in the Intercontinental Hotel. I have all the information here. But before that, we'll also have workshops and different lectures on different themes relating to higher education, okay? So you can register here at the QR code, or I've got more information here. All right? And if you want to fill out our survey, we'll be grateful. Any final questions? Yes.
If it's possible, for example, if I study here, I got the bachelor degree. So could I choose something different for master?
Yeah, and actually that can be a really great reason to get a master's degree.
Do I have to take like specific test, or because if it was like, I don't know, math and I want to study theater,
Yeah.
is that possible?
Absolutely. And that can be a really good, you'll have to write in your application, in your motivation letter about why you studied math and now you want to study theater.
Only motivation and that's it.
Yeah. So as long as you can sort of explain your choice to them and talk about your motivation for changing your field, absolutely, that can be a great reason to receive further education, is to change your specialty, your field of study. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That different, yeah. In that case, I think it would be important that you have some professional experience to help sort of explain why you want to make that shift. Like maybe you studied math in during your bachelor's degree, and then you worked for 3 years in a theater and it changed your life and you realize that's what you really want to do, but you want to study it more, right? So I think in that case, professional experience will be important to show how that change happened. If you studied math at university for 4 years on bachelor's level and then odrazu, you want to go study theater at a master's degree, I think they will have some questions about that. But if you have professional experience to show how that change happened, that will help. Mm-hmm. Good. All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope we'll see you at the fair on Saturday. If you have any more questions, будь ласка, звертайтеся. Thank you, everybody.